The journey we're taking is the journey within you. Everybody has their own story and their own journey to share. Every journey conceals another journey within its lines, the path not taken and the forgotten angle. Listen to the stories from others sharing their triumphs and struggles that led them to where they are today. Welcome to the journey within you. I am so pleased and excited to have Lisa here with me today. As I've showed you and told you guys about this podcast, it is about bringing women on to share their journey. And Lisa, what I would love for you today is to take us through a little journey about your life and where you started from and how it's brought you to where you are today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm excited to be here today. Um, my journey started like when I was a young kid. I always like battled weight, and I
Mm.
always was the biggest kid that, was in our little play group, and to the point that my family would always, tease me and pinch my cheeks and call me a chubby bunny, or, tell me, how cute I was, or mash my cheeks together,
Oh,
and
no.
at that point, they thought it was just cute, and I'm like, "I don't
Mm-hmm.
think I like this." But,
Mm-mm.
and the journey went through, as I went through middle school and high school, and the hormones changed and the weight came on, and it just got worse and worse, and I was teased throughout high school about weight, and I was always trying, like, something new, like, "I'm gonna go on a diet, I'm gonna lose weight," and
Mm.
I let that identify me,
Right.
and so I always remember, even in middle school and high school, where I would just very much identify as the fat girl because
Mm.
that's what I was, because that's what
Was
people said. Yeah,
was that something like in your family as you were growing up? Is a weight problem in your family, or was there like
absolutely.
eating habits that just weren't practiced in your home? Or
Yeah, so there was both my mom and my dad were overweight, and my mom was a lifelong Weight Watcher, and
Mm.
she would be on and then she'd be off and then she'd be on and then she'd be off, just like all of us are, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And she later in life, as I was an adult, she got very serious about her weight loss and became a Weight Watcher leader after she,
Oh,
you
wow.
know, um, met her goal. I think they do like goal weights there or
Yeah,
something. I'm not
yeah.
I'm not
You
100%
do,
familiar, but
you do. My mom was
um
a weight loss, also
okay,
Weight
yeah.
Watchers. Yeah,
Yeah.
she did the same
As
thing.
yeah, so when my mom was on, like, I really tried to follow what she was doing and learn those things, but, we lived in a house where, it was meat and potatoes, and it
Hmm.
wasn't like nutrition. It wasn't that we weren't fed good food, because we were. We
Right,
just, our quantities and proportions of food, or portions of food, I should say, weren't monitored,
right.
and there were always treats.
Snacks. Yeah.
Snacks were given as a reward. We
Sweet and
would
low. My mom used sweet and low all the time. Ew.
yes.
Ew.
I know. We would get an A on our report card. We'd be rewarded with food. We
Hmm.
would do something good, in some of the clubs we were in, we were rewarded with food.
Mm.
We were sad, we were rewarded with food.
Hmm.
And so food was a very centralized thing in our home. It was
Yeah.
what we revolved around. It's where the social time came in. And even
Hmm.
as I got older, in high school and I got a car, like that's what we would do. We would go out to lunch,
Out
we'd
to
go out
eat.
to dinner, because that's what
Yeah.
we could do. We were like,
Yeah.
teenagers. And so as I got into my adult life, it just kind of got like really out of control. And the only thing I ever knew in life was dance. I was a dancer from age 2 all the way up.
Oh,
And my dream was to be a rockette, but that was long gone when I wasn't tall enough. So
yeah.
I
Yeah.
was a
I
short
has a little
person.
to do with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, as I kept going on in life, and I found that, I started being really self-conscious about my weight,
Mm.
even at the jobs that I worked and the people that I dated. And I ended up getting married, and it was great. I was not in the greatest body shape, and
Yeah.
he was fine with that, and everything worked out. And we our relationship revolved around food. It was like, what new Mexican restaurant could we go try this week?
Yeah.
And kind
How
of
old were you
like
when you got married?
I was, oh my goodness, 30, 32,
Oh.
32. No, let's see. Yeah, I was 32. Um so as like, because we dated for a long, long, long time before we got
Yeah.
married.
Yeah.
And um I just noticed like my body was not performing anymore.
Mm,
It wasn't like it was hard to
mm,
walk to my car. It was
mm,
hard to walk to go get the mail. I was winded all the time. And I
mm,
remember this particular weekend that I was not feeling great. I woke up, it was a Sunday. I wasn't feeling good. My head really hurt and
mm.
I'm like, I'm just gonna go lay down. And I went into the bedroom and I laid down and I remember like it was pain in my head like I had never ever felt
Oh,
before.
goodness.
And I knew it wasn't just a normal headache. I'm
Something's
like,
not
what is
right.
going
Yeah.
on? And so I said I got up because I was still really self-conscious and embarrassed about my eating habits, how I showed up in my marriage, what I looked like, and I was self-conscious that like if something was wrong with me, I wasn't going to be loved. And so
Yeah.
I remember I got up, I'm like, I have to go get medical attention because there's something wrong. So I got up and I told my husband I was gonna go get some milk because we didn't have any
No,
milk.
you didn't
And
tell him
I
the truth.
didn't.
Oh.
And I went to an urgent care and my blood pressure was at a very, very dangerous level. It was
Mm,
definitely like along the lines of stroke level blood pressure. My EKG was not coming back normal.
mm.
They're like, you really need to go to an emergency room. So, like we do as independent women, I drove myself. I drove myself. And I went
Mm,
into the emergency room, and the urgent care physician had
yeah.
called ahead and said, "Hey, this girl's coming, and you really,
You need to take her.
need to take a
Yeah.
look."
Yeah.
And I got in there, and it was really bad. Like people were flying around, they're taking blood, they're listening to my heart, they're hooking me up to all these machines. They're like, "How do you feel now? What can you remember about what happened? What is your pain level right now?" Because they thought I was having a stroke.
Right.
And, everything kinda calmed down after they got, like, my head under control, my blood pressure under control, and this emergency room physician, I'll never forget it, he walked in and he sat on the end of my bed and he said, "Do you know how close to death you were today?" And I
Mm,
said, "No." He's
no.
like, "You were close.
Mm,
You were really close." And he said, "I'm telling you right now, if you do not make changes in your life, starting this minute, you will not be here in the next 6 months."
mm.
I'm like, wow. That
That
was
gave me
I mean, I was
chills. I mean, I'm just like, oh, no.
I I just sat there. I'm like, I am like 32 years old because this was like the same year I got married. I was
Hmm.
32 years old being told if I didn't change my life today, this minute, that I was gonna die in 6 months. And I'm like, what does that even look like?
Yeah. Where do I
Like,
begin?
how do I even
Yeah.
start? I never in my life stepped foot into a gym. I was a dancer. I knew how to dance. That's all I knew how to
Yeah.
do,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And so I remember they kept me overnight for observation. I went home the next day,
Oh, by this
took that
time you've had to have called your husband, right?
I did. I did.
Okay.
I'm like, "Oh,
I was
by the
going
way."
like, okay, missing wife.
Did. I did, and
Yeah.
it was very, very embarrassing and very humbling all at the same time.
Yeah.
And, so I remember going home the next day, it was a Monday, and I called off of work because I had been in the
Mm.
hospital overnight, and I'm like, "I don't even know what to do." And then I had this brilliant idea that I was just gonna have weight loss surgery because I thought that that
Oh,
would
yeah.
fix
Yeah.
all of my problems. And, like, to each their own, right? Like, it
Right.
works great for
Right.
some people, and there's
Right.
some situations
Right.
where you do have to do that, but
It's not a
I thought
cop
that that
out.
was
It's not the easy
correct,
way. Yeah.
and I wasn't doing it for the right reason. I was doing
Right.
it for the easy reason.
Right.
So I'm like, "That's what I'm gonna do."
Hmm.
So I started making phone calls, and kind of all the research I did and the phone calls I made, it came down to, well, you need to show us that you can lose 30 pounds before we'll do that. I'm like,
Right.
What? Like, I can
Yeah.
barely even walk to my car without being out
Hmm.
of breath.
Hmm.
So I'm like, all right, I'm going to start walking and I'm going to walk to the first mailbox. Then I'm going to walk to the second mailbox. And
Hmm.
then I'm going to walk to the third mailbox. And
Hmm.
I remember on that very first day of walking, I got outside and I got to that first mailbox and it took me 40 minutes
Mm.
to walk because I
Mm.
just couldn't. I just couldn't. At this point, I was about 390 pounds
Mm.
and
Almost
I just
400. Mm.
couldn't. I couldn't do it. And I remember getting to the first mailbox, which, of course, because we walk in our neighborhoods, was my
Yeah.
neighbor's mailbox.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting down on the curb and just crying. I'm like, there's
Mm,
no way I am gonna lose 30 pounds. Like
mhm,
I can't even walk to a mailbox.
mm,
I must have sat there for a good hour. I got up, got myself back home, and I'm like, well, I need to do something else. And I'm like, there really wasn't anything else. So the next day I got up and I'm like, I'm going to two mailboxes.
mhm.
And every single day I increased my mailboxes.
Oh,
And I just went to the next one and then to the next one. And I didn't care how long it took me. I just went to the next one.
right.
And I was like, okay, I feel pretty good. Like I think
Mm,
I'm ready for a little bit more. And this was over several weeks.
mhm.
And I'm like, well, now what do I do? And
Yeah.
I'm like, all I've ever done in my whole life is dance.
Yeah.
That makes me feel good. So I'm going to go to an adult dance class. So I looked them all up, found an adult dance class, and this dance studio was a very proper dance studio where you had to
Oh,
wear certain uniforms.
yeah.
Even if you were just in an adult fun dance class, you
Oh
still.
my.
So I remember going at about, 400 pounds to find a leotard that fit
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And I had to buy three, and my mom had to sew them together.
Mm-mm.
It was absolutely humiliating. But my adrenaline was up, my inspiration was up because I had been walking. I'm like, I can do this. I saw a
Mhm.
minimal weight loss. And so I went to my first dance class and I walked in and I noticed I was the biggest person in the room. I'm
Mhm.
like, this isn't gonna work. I mean, these people don't want to dance with someone like me.
Mm.
So the instructor walked in, the music started, did the whole class, could not wait for it to end, literally thought I was gonna die,
Mhm.
like being out
Mhm.
of
All
breath.
that. Yeah.
And I'm like, this, my, they talk about like muscle memory and like, it's just like riding a bike. It's not,
No.
it's not,
There's
not with
things you
extra weight.
forget. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
That
after the
moved over
class,
here and you didn't move. Yeah.
yes, totally. And like, I remember like, I felt very jiggly and
Yeah.
I just, ugh, it
You
was
just felt like
rough,
all
right?
eyes were on you. Yeah.
Totally. Like, what is
Mm.
this girl doing here?
Yeah.
And like, you can see, like, when you're a bigger person, like, people, you can
You
see the
notice.
whispers,
Yeah.
you can see the talking, you can see the staring. Like,
Mhm.
it's obvious.
Mhm.
And so after class, I just wanted to get out of there as soon as possible. And I grabbed all my stuff and I was over in the corner putting everything in a bag. And out of the corner of my eye, here comes the instructor. I'm like,
Oh.
here it comes. She's gonna tell me that I can't come back
Mm.
because, she doesn't want me in this class because no one else looks like me. She squatted down next to me, introduced herself. I introduced myself, and she's like, "Hey, I just want to tell you something." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know. I have a weight problem. I'm working on it. I'm just gonna get, I'm gonna get weight loss surgery. So don't worry about it. I won't take up too many of your classes."
Mm.
And she's like, "All I wanted to tell you is that you move beautifully." And she got
Oh.
up and walked away. And like that
Mm.
is a moment that gives me chills still.
Yes,
To
still.
this point
Yes.
brings some tears to my eyes because that was the first time that someone had complimented me
Mhm.
in literally 10 years.
Mhm.
And I'm like, okay, like she gets it. And so I went back the next week and I went back the next week. And by like the fourth week, I had lost 30 pounds of
Mm.
dance from dancing. And she came over and she's like, okay, so how are we doing? I can tell you're losing
Mhm.
weight. I can tell you're moving better. Like, what's the goal here? I'm like, well, I hit my goal. I'm like, I'm going to have weight loss surgery. She's like, no, you're not. She's like, give me 4 more weeks.
Mm.
I said, okay. I was having fun. I mean, it was
Yeah,
working. I was
you
still
love
doing the
it. Yeah.
mailboxes. I loved it. I mean, I was a dancer from the age of 2, so it was like everything I knew and I felt good.
Mm.
And so I did. And I gave her 4 more weeks and I lost another 30 pounds.
Mm.
And I kept on it. And I kept on it. And the weight fell off. It was fantastic. Like
Mhm.
she was right there with me. If I didn't show up to class, she was on the phone with me. She's like, I'm holding it for you. So we're not going to start until you get here. And so
Wow.
she held me accountable to
Mm.
show up because she knew that my life was literally dependent on this.
Yeah.
And so over the weeks we had become closer. We had grabbed coffee together and by this time developed a friendship. Um, as you know, when things change in your life, people change in your life. And so
Mhm.
as I was, getting to a point where I was feeling a little bit more confident in myself and
Mhm.
really like losing the weight and feeling good, it's like things with my husband were just not like they weren't jiving anymore, and so we tried
Mm.
for a few years to make it work, but we ultimately ended up, divorcing on the best of terms. He's
Mhm.
still a wonderful guy,
Mhm.
and, we just were going on
You
2
knew.
different paths, and we
Yeah.
knew it was just and I was grateful for the time that he was with me and loved me for exactly who I was,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
so then I was out on my own, and I was still
Mm.
losing weight. Right before my divorce was final, I hit 200 pounds lost.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, I can do this. And like I had become really good friends with the instructor. At this point, we were like best friends. And I'm like, you literally saved me. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
you saved my
Those
life.
words.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And we went on to open a fitness studio together because my mission
Oh,
was if I can
wow.
help one person get their
Mhm.
life back the way she helped me get my life back,
Mhm.
that will be full circle for me. And
Mhm.
so 9 years later, here we are. We have a fitness studio
Oh
together
my
and
gosh.
it's great. I'm remarried and happy and
Oh.
still battling weight though. Like it will be a lifelong battle for me.
Yeah.
Like it's I think it comes down to, like, where your focus is, like,
Mhm.
it will always be something for me where I have to watch my diet and I have to work out, and if I don't, I will gain weight, and
Mhm.
so here we are COVID times, and, we're all inside, we can't go
Yeah,
anywhere.
and what did we do? We cooked, we baked,
We
we were eating
cooked.
3 meals a day. I'm like, "We don't do this. What is going on
And
here?"
sometimes even more than that,
Yeah.
honestly. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, we were
Oh, the
we were making
popcorn,
stuff.
the chips,
Yeah.
all the things.
So, COVID came and it was like I saw 50 pounds pop back on fast.
Fast.
And that scared me. I'm like,
I bet it did.
whoa, whoa. I'm like,
Not
I've
going
come
back
this
there.
far,
Mhm.
not going back there. Not it is not an option. And so I had to get serious again and really work. But this time I'm 10 years older.
Yeah,
It's
smarter,
not as easy.
wiser.
It's yeah, and I mean, as you get older with hormones and stuff, it's harder to lose weight.
Oh,
And
well, that's
so,
true. Yeah.
it will be a lifelong battle for me. And I'm in the process of getting my last 20 off. And, I think too, with the clients that I coach, in both my fitness studio in nutrition and fitness, as well as in my life coaching practice, I think because I've walked a mile in their shoes,
Mhm.
they know it's possible.
Yeah.
During my weight loss journey, I did decide I wanted to see what it was like inside of a gym. I'm like, I've never been in a gym before.
Ugh.
Like, let me go in a gym. And so I went into the gym and I saw this was early on. This was probably within like the first 6 months of my weight loss journey.
Mhm.
I saw a sign the first time I went into the gym and it said, "What you eat in private shows in public."
Mm.
And at this point, like prior to like going to the emergency room, you know, I was eating double meals.
Mhm.
So I would drive home from work, go through a McDonald's,
Mhm.
eat the McDonald's before I got home, come home and cook
And cook
a
a
me
dinner.
and cook a dinner
Mhm.
for my family and eat like no one ever knew.
Mhm.
And I walked up the stairs of this gym and I'm like, it just hit me in the face. And I'm like,
That's me.
that was me.
Mhm.
That was me. And it's like, what was I thinking? Like, and who was I hiding from?
Mhm.
And it was like, really, I was hiding from me.
Yeah.
I was hiding from me.
Mhm.
The depression was there, the body image was there, the lack of self-confidence was there, and, like, that sign, I remember just standing there and I read it over and over and
Mm.
over, and I'm like, "I can't ever do that again. I can't
Mhm.
ever, ever do that again." And
No.
so I continued my relationship at the gym, and I'm like, "I'm gonna hire a personal trainer because that's what you do, right? When you wanna
Right.
get
I
fit.
did
I'm like,
that.
"I wanna
Yeah.
I wanna
That
learn
was
how to
the only
lift."
way I wanted to go because I was so afraid to walk in there and kinda just do things because I didn't know what to do. I said, "Well, I'll get a
Exactly.
personal trainer and all will be
Yeah.
good."
That was very short-lived for me
Uh,
because I met with her the first time and, she did her evaluation and stuff,
mhm.
and I met with her the second time, and, like, the things that she was asking me to do, I'm like, "This I don't feel like this is safe for me because like,
Right.
my heart rate
Right.
was out of control,
Yeah.
I was breathing so heavy. She had me on these machines that were doing I don't know what with my body, I had
Mhm.
to do my arms and legs at the same time,
Yeah.
and she's like, "It's okay. I know how you feel."
Mm.
I'm like,
No, I don't think so.
"You are 5'6", maybe 100 pounds. You're muscular. You've
Mhm.
never in your life battled a
Mhm.
weight issue, and you're gonna tell me you know how I feel? Oh,
Mm.
no, 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 no."
Mhm.
And I never went back. I never went
No.
back to our training sessions with her, and I'm like, "She doesn't know how I feel."
Mm-mm.
And I vowed at that moment that I would never, ever, ever tell someone I
Tell
knew how
somebody.
they felt
Mhm.
unless I walked in their shoes,
Mhm.
and that stuck with me as well.
Yeah.
I went to
I
a
had an
different gym.
amazing, amazing instructor, coach for that. She was tiny like that too, but yet she knows how to work with people overweight and she knew how to build us because I told her, I
Yes.
said, my legs are like weak. I like you. I couldn't do a whole lot. I had no feeling that they held me in the way they should hold me. And so
Yeah.
she worked really well with me and building me up for a year and loved it. And because life changed and all that. And didn't get to go back, but she was excellent, so
Yeah, exactly. And when you find that person that you click with
mhm,
that gets it, that understands
mhm.
you,
Like your
it's
dance instructor.
golden.
Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
yeah.
I mean, I decided I was gonna try yoga because that was supposed to, like,
Yeah.
calm my mind, and
Okay, let's do that.
let's just try that.
Yeah.
So I went into a gym and I rolled my mat out and, like, you don't listen, you go
Mm,
into a gym, everyone knows everyone,
mhm.
everyone takes the same class, everyone
Yeah,
has the position they wanna put their mat in,
yep,
everyone wants to sit next to so and so. I
yep.
mean, I walk in, I just roll my mat out, right? I'm sitting there and I can see the instructor walks in, she's across the room from me. And, they're all
Yeah.
reading the class, they're all chit-chatting. I'm like, I know exactly what they're talking about, and it's
Yep,
me.
yep.
And so she walks over and she's like, "Can I help you?" I'm like, yeah, I'm here to take your class." And she's like, "Oh, yeah, okay." She kind of scratches her head a little bit and she's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna have to ask you to roll your mat up." She's like, "This just is not the class for you." And I'm like, "You don't even know
Wow.
me." And she's like, "You're never gonna be able to do what we do in here." I'm
Mm,
like, "You don't know me. You don't
right.
know." But at this point, I was already down 70 pounds. I'm like, "You don't know what I've
Mm,
been through." And I rolled my mat up and I left.
mm,
And after I lost 215 pounds, I went back to that gym and I talked to the instructor and I'm like, "Look at me now.
mhm.
You could have been part of my story. Instead,
You
you
condemned me.
showed me
Mhm,
that you you prejudged me, number 1, but number
mhm.
2, you showed me that I have to really be careful about where I am vulnerable." And I said, "If you put yourself in my shoes for just 1 second and you realized what just happened, would you have acted the same if it was done to you?" And she was just, I mean, in tears, apologetic,
Mm,
like, "I
mhm.
am so sorry. Thank you for opening up my eyes." I said, "I'm not here to yell at you or make you feel
No,
bad.
no.
I'm here to show you that
Yeah,
you never know what someone's potential is."
right.
And so to this day, we're still friends. We're
Oh,
still
that's
friends.
good.
I've taken
That's
her
good, and
class.
that's good that you were brave enough to go back and say and
Yeah.
not in a mean way, you weren't. You were just like,
No.
"I want you to learn from this how I learned from this," you know?
Yes. I mean,
Oh,
in my almost 10 years now coaching fitness, like, I have seen people in every different body shape, every different stage of
mm,
getting healthy or getting fit, and everyone's story is different. Not
mhm,
anyone has the same story. People are overweight for a million different reasons,
mhm,
and the reasons for me don't matter. What
mm,
matters is they're comfortable, they know that they are in a safe place,
mhm,
and they know that I'm gonna be able to help them.
right.
That's what matters.
Come as you
And
are.
come
Mhm,
exactly as you
yeah,
are, and that's how it was when I opened the studio. I'm like, number 1, we need to make fitness affordable to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Fitness these days, it is so expensive to
Yes.
get healthy, and that's not fair.
Mm-mm.
So, our number one thing, make fitness affordable for everyone. Number two, every single person who walks in the store will be family from the minute they walk in. We will
Mm-hmm.
embrace them, we will love them for exactly who they are,
Mm-hmm.
and we will give them the same class, whether they're 500 pounds or 50 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone here will be treated the same.
Yep.
And we started that culture early on, and I can tell you, our people now just love on each
Mm-hmm.
other. And it's such an incredible, like, feeling to just
Community.
be able to
Yeah.
sit back and watch this happen.
Yeah.
And it's like they get it. They get it. They
Mm-hmm.
want to be with each other. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, stop talking. Let's get to
Yeah.
work. Like, we are here to work out.
I know that's the big thing. You get to the gym and you stand in your huddles and talk forever. No, wait, wait,
Yeah.
wait. We got class. Let's get going. I love that.
And then I noticed, like, I told you, as COVID came and I gained 50 pounds, I had like a really big, like, whoa moment
Mm,
towards the end of COVID. And I'm like, okay, I gained 50 pounds back. My body feels it. I I'm a personal trainer, group fitness, like, nutrition. Like, how am I supposed to stand in front of my
mm.
people and be like, I don't know what
Hi.
happened?
Yeah.
So instead, I showed up and was absolutely accountable to my actions. But I noticed there was one thing that I was missing, and it was the mindset shift.
Mm,
And I healed my body. I healed the food that I was putting into my body. I lost the weight, but I never healed my heart. I never
mm,
healed my mind.
mm,
And I was in the same behavior patterns during COVID that I was in when I had gained so much weight to begin with.
mhm.
And that was the
Yeah.
scary part. And at that point, I'm like, okay, I need like a mindset coach was really what I had
Yeah.
set out to
Yeah.
do. And I've learned with all of my teachings and trainings and
Mm,
coaching that I
mhm,
really needed to heal within me, because going back to like the chubby bunny era where
mhm.
my family was squeezing my cheeks and thought it was so cute, that's when it started.
Yeah.
That's when I started having confidence
Right.
issues, because I don't want people squeezing my cheeks.
Mm-mm.
Like,
Mm-mm.
I
No.
mean, whether I'm 3 or 30,
No.
don't that's insulting.
Right.
And, in my journey of healing, I realized, like, that's where the confidence issue started.
Mhm.
And because I had made such a drastic physical change and I didn't address the emotional
Yeah.
healing that went with it, I'm like, I can see myself
Bingo.
repeating this cycle, and it's not
Mhm.
okay.
Right.
And so I had found a coach and went through a coaching program that just healed my heart and healed my soul and healed my human. And I'm like, my people need this at the studio because I see them going through
Mhm.
the same
Same
cycle.
thing.
They're
Right.
on it, they're off it. They're on it, they're
Mhm.
off it.
Mhm.
And I'm like, this needs to come in. And so that's when I decided I was going to go get certified as a life coach and
I
bring
love that.
coaching into my studio and into my
Yeah.
people and
Yeah.
build a community of love and build
Full
a community
package.
where they can be themselves and they'll be
Mhm.
accepted for exactly where they're at.
I love that because I think that's so true. I realized too with food, it was just something as a convenience to fill a space with me.
Yeah.
And I would just always have something to grab, which was not always great to be
Mhm.
grabbing and eating, but it was never satisfying. You're never satisfied. You just ate it, right?
Yeah.
Like the stops at McDonald's. I've done that. The candy bar sitting in the cabinet that nobody knew about or in my
Mhm.
pocketbook, and I could eat it walking out to somewhere. Nobody knew I had it,
No.
and that was so ridiculous. You just like, "Why did I do that?" How
And
crazy is that?
the guilt that you feel
Yes.
afterwards,
Yes.
like, what did I just do? What I
Yep.
just lied to myself.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the healing process that I went through a couple of years, oh, last year, not a couple of years, last year,
Yeah.
really opened up my thoughts around food even better because I started the intermittent fasting because I was really scared. I can't do that because that
Yeah.
means I'm restricted from food. No way. And I started and I realized, God, I didn't need that food like that. Didn't become a priority. It was an enjoyable time to have the food that I had. And so that has taught me to appreciate my meals, the certain snacks I get to have and live healthier, but also
Yeah.
emotionally the healing that transpired last year with the same coach that we love
Yes.
dearly. And
Yes.
and having that eye-opening freedom is what I use the word freedom. Um it takes the full package. And like you said too, it's an ongoing process. It doesn't
Totally,
stop
always.
just because, okay,
Mm-mm,
now I've lost the weight. I'm great. No, the food's still there. The temptations are still there. The triggers, however you want to look at it, they're still
mhm.
there.
They're still
And
there.
it's our mindset that has to now have control over that and process it. And we're like, okay, I got this. It's okay.
Yeah,
I had the
yeah,
thought, and now I'm gonna move on. I don't have to have that
like
candy bar because it
exactly.
doesn't taste good anyway. And how is it gonna serve my body? It's not.
It's not. It's not
Yeah,
gonna serve your body.
no. So, it's fun. I mean, I still have a cookie, I still have a piece of cake. I still have those
Yes.
things because I
Mhm,
didn't want to restrict. I think again, to me
mhm,
personally, when you do something like that, you're gonna fall back and you're gonna go right back into the
100%.
same pattern again. So don't restrict yourself
Yep.
so totally from everything.
Exactly. And that's when I went through my big weight loss, I didn't. I told myself I am not going to deprive myself because the minute I mean, what do? You tell a kid, don't touch that. What do?
Exactly.
They go
Go.
touch it.
Yep.
They go touch it, right?
Yep.
And it's the same thing. If I tell myself, you cannot have pizza, you cannot have chocolate cake, it's the first thing I'm going to go do because I already
Is
lied
make
to
a big
myself by
cake.
going through
Yeah.
McDonald's. I'm like, I know myself better than that. And
Mhm.
so what I did for my weight loss, I stepped on the scale every single day. And
Mhm.
there's so many different theories
I
about this,
know.
and
I
everyone
know.
has their own theory, but
Yeah.
this is what worked for me.
Your personal
I
journey.
stepped on the scale every single day, and I knew what kind of day I could have.
Mhm.
And if I was down like more than I thought, I'm like, okay,
Okay.
maybe I can have a couple bites of that chocolate cake or a
Mhm.
piece of pizza.
Mhm.
Don't deprive yourself. Just really, have that portion
Think about it.
control.
Mhm.
Think about what you're doing. And I
Mhm.
knew if I was up, I stepped on the scale and I was a little bit up that day,
Leave it
that
alone.
was going to be an extra workout. I
Yeah.
was going to go do an extra mile on the treadmill. I was going to take an extra fitness class. You know, for me, I had to learn to be accountable to myself.
Mhm.
And I grew up being accountable
To
for
everybody else.
everyone else
Mhm.
and got myself into a situation where I had lost the accountability within me. And
Mhm.
so this is where I started to get my life back. Not only did I lose the weight and change the way I ate and, all the blood tests and everything started coming back
Mhm.
normal,
Mhm.
but I had to relearn that I mattered. I had to
Mhm.
relearn that I was important. I had to relearn that people depended on me. And I had to relearn that I was needed here and I
Mhm.
couldn't just let it all go.
Mhm.
So
So important.
it's more than just losing the pounds. It's more than just changing the diet. It's more than just going to the gym.
Mhm.
And I think, bringing a coaching, program into the
Mhm.
studio was probably one of the best things I ever did. Bringing a coaching program into my life because we didn't grow up like that. My mom
No.
didn't. I
No.
mean, my parents, not that
Never.
my mom was fantastic. I love her to death. She's fantastic. But they weren't raised on like the importance of mental health. They weren't raised on the importance of what happens when you tell your kid she's chubby.
Mhm.
I have a nephew now, and I even catch myself now saying some things like, I'll tell him, I catch myself and slap
Mhm.
myself on the hand. I'll be like,
Mhm.
don't cry. You don't need to cry about that. That's not important.
Yeah.
You should be crying about that. I'm like, whoa, hold
Yeah.
on, hold on. This is something that is important to him, that he is
Mhm.
upset about, that he needs to express emotion about.
Right.
I'm gonna listen. I'm
Right. Well,
gonna
back
listen.
then
And
we
I
were
will tell him,
told to be quiet. Don't show emotion.
totally,
Don't do that. Don't do this.
absolutely. And I'm like, buddy, your auntie was wrong.
Yeah.
I shouldn't
Yeah.
have said that to you. Tell me what's going on. Tell me how you're feeling.
Yeah.
Because again, like it didn't
They need to
matter if
express that. Mhm.
you know, the whole, when I was a kid, you better clean your plate.
Yeah.
But I'm not hungry. You better clean your plate. Don't
Mhm.
waste food.
Yep. Yep.
I'm like, well, what are we teaching our kids by telling them no matter what, no matter how you feel, you're going to eat all of that food?
Mhm.
And expect them not to take that into their adult life where they're going to then be struggling with
Mhm.
weight.
Mhm.
So it's so much that happens when we're a kid that we
Yeah.
bring into this adult life
Yeah.
that we need to heal from. And it's so incredibly important to have the successful, growing, big life that we want to live, that we become aware of the things
Mhm.
that are holding us back.
Mhm.
You know, that
Definitely.
clean your plate, that chubby bunny, that whatever else, the being the biggest kid in my class, I didn't fit
Hmm.
into the prom dresses every other girl fit into.
Hmm.
Those moments were moments that I brought into my adulthood that brought
Hmm.
on my obesity.
Right.
And I needed to heal that. And I wish I would have learned that when I started
Exactly.
the
I
weight
think
loss journey.
we've all said that because I said the same
Yeah.
thing last year. I was like, why did I carry that for all these years so deep
Yes.
down? And here now, you brought it out of me. She said, I told her, I was like, you brought
Yeah.
this out of me somehow. And I can see how that played in my life all along.
All
And I'm
along.
like, wow, I did not realize how that had impacted my choices and all the decisions I made in my life because I had that very deep inside.
Yeah.
And here at 60, I finally got rid of it. It's like, and yet again,
And
like
now
you
you
said,
feel free.
healing.
And
Yes,
you're
the
like,
freedom.
why didn't
Yes.
I do this 30 years ago?
Mhm.
It's
It's just
it's
not
like,
something that was taught about back then. And now we see it a lot more. And I'm so appreciative to see this come forward because we have a generation that truly needs us and needs that, to know they can come to someone and start healing from all aspects of their life. And I'm
absolutely.
just so
Absolutely.
thankful you're there for that to your
Oh, thank
community.
you.
It's just
Yeah.
amazing. I know that you're appreciated and loved for that, Lisa. And I just want to thank you for coming on today. I love to ask a question.
Yeah.
Um, I like to ask, what is something that you love to personally collect? What is something your favorite you love to collect?
Oh, something my favorite I love to collect. Oh, it's a top two things, books
Yeah.
and pens.
Pens. I love it.
Pens.
If you looked
I
at my desk
love
right now, I've got pen
cute
holders
fancy
everywhere.
pens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so
And they
cool.
all mean something different. And I feel that, I have a pen that I write with when I'm sad. I have a pen that I write with when I have all these creative ideas. I have a pen that I write with when I
Oh,
need to
that's
have
so
some
cool.
confidence. And so they just sit here on my desk and I just grab whichever one I need. And
Yeah. Yeah.
I just, I feel that connection with
That's
them.
so cool. Well, another thing I do is I have a stack of cards that are scripture verses, and I just like to
Yeah.
shuffle through them. And I usually, whatever comes on top, I read that to close us off. And it's
Yeah.
just something that's been kind of special to me. And I know that it's just neat to see what God's word is going to be through
Oh,
that. So,
yes.
all right. So here's the one on top. It says, the steadfast love of the Lord never ceases, his mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. And that's Lamentations 3:22 through 23.
Oh,
Isn't that
yes.
awesome to
That's so
know?
beautiful.
Yes. I mean, that's just, oh, I love his word. And I love what
Yes.
he says to us each day if we just allow him to work through us. So,
Absolutely.
Lisa, thank you for coming on my
Thank
podcast today.
you.
I appreciate you so much. Thank you for joining my podcast today. We all have a story to share. Each story has purpose and makes an impact to you, the listener, creating a journey with passion and purpose. The journey we're taking is the journey within you. Please share with others and subscribe below.